Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and President of Brokerage Up and RealEstateCoach.com. I'm delighted to welcome Linzee Ciprani. She is the owner of Ciprani Consulting. They are, in my opinion, the best placement agency for positions in real estate, whether it's virtual or in person. And today, though, we're going to be talking about why you really need to make the transition to virtual, not only for financial reasons, but just due to the sheer fact that there aren't a lot of administrative folks out there who want to work in real estate anymore. So you've got some really great data you're going to share with us. Linzee, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Bernice, for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm delighted to have you here. And, for the first, when I first met you, you were doing pretty much almost all virtual assistants, but you also have part of your business that was placing administrative assistants, buyer's agents, doing those kinds of things right now for teams and brokerages. Tell me a little bit about your business mix right now, who you're serving, kind of what the demand is, what you're seeing in the trends, because I don't know anybody else who's even beginning to track this, and you've got the numbers.
I do. Well, and you know what? And so just to be clear too, when we say virtual, it's so funny because I think a lot of us in real estate think the Philippines and, all over the place. But truly, what we're talking about today is people within the United States. That's where our placements tend to be. And we don't go outside of that. We do hire in Canada as well. But yeah, we have been hiring what I would say in-person assistants and real estate agents and people for brokerages and all of that for the last 12 years. And most recently, we are seeing a shift, right? COVID really did throw us all for a loop, and we're seeing a shift out to people wanting to work remotely. And so all of a sudden, we are starting to track those numbers and see that there is a big shift towards that. Yet everybody in real estate, Bernice, and you and I were talking about this a little bit, everybody in real estate hasn't made that shift yet. Everybody still wants to be in the office for the most part and want their employees to be in the office. And so
you had some really stunning numbers on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
What are those statistics? Because
this
really blew me away.
Yeah. So we're finding anywhere from 70 to 75% of the people that are applying to our jobs want to be what we're going to say virtual or remote. Now they want to work from home. And we've got 98%, which is insane, of the people that we are hiring for want in person. So most of those people, only 2% are willing to look at somebody that's remote, which has cut our candidate pool in, well, it's cut it down completely, right?
So just to break it down for the people who are listening today, just in terms of actual jobs you have available at this moment and how many people you have to fill them based upon, this gives you an idea about how bad this shortage is. And I've been hearing this from brokers now for several years. We can't find good admins. It's a real problem. What are your numbers showing right at this moment?
Yeah, so we have 52 positions that are open at the moment. Of those 52, Bernice, we have anywhere from like 7 to 10, very limited pool that have actual real estate experience, right? So we have lots of candidates that are people that, don't have any experience and maybe see HGTV, right? We hear that all the time. Oh, I watch HGTV, and so I want to get into real estate. And so we have lots of people applying. However, the actual amount of people that have any experience, we are seeing them, not only do they, are they leaving, the positions that they're leaving, but they're leaving the industry altogether. We are watching them go out, and they can get different positions, right? They can get better positions with better pay and 401k and all these things that maybe the smaller real estate brokerages and teams, they just can't provide. So yeah, we're seeing them leave.
So we're seeing a mass exodus out of the real estate business by the people who provide all the support services, are the administrators, the receptionists, the people who do your back office. You're seeing a mass exodus out of real estate into other fields because they can get better pay, better benefits, and they don't have to work with crazy real estate agents.
Yeah, right. Better. They will say, and we know this to be false, but the balance of life, right? I want work-life balance, which we know is not a true thing. But they do. I think real estate agents and brokerages, I mean, we work all the time. So we're pulling at these stable, steady, wonderful personalities all night and all weekend. And they're fed up with it. And I think that the pandemic made everybody start to really look at their life and reevaluate. They have massively reevaluated.
So one of the things that I think is worthwhile talking about is that you need to look at the people you're hiring for these positions based upon their behavioral profiles. And for those of you who are not familiar with the DISC, Lindsay and I both subscribe to this. It's a huge predictor of success. If you're hiring a new, someone who's going to be, who's likely to be a top producer. Their profile on the DISC is DI, high drive coupled with influencing, or you can call it being a people person, but it's the get it done, get it done now with that, very social. But about 60% of the population is steadiness, which is essentially, and there are different versions of the DISC, but those are the terms I've used, learned to use. And those people they're stable, they have routines, they don't like, things to be up in the air and kind of crazy. They just want things to be even and predictable. And then the C is compliance, and those are the detail people, they're perfectionists in many cases. And those are the people I want doing my compliance in my books by all means, but they're not going to be very good interacting with clients. So, those people so one of the takeaways, I think, from what you were telling me is that if you're going to have someone doing compliance or those, how did you describe it, transaction based? Which profile do they need to be?
Yeah, detail oriented, anybody who's task heavy, right? Checklist heavy. That is an SCCS, some form there. You can throw some I&D in there, obviously, we'll take that, but you do want the steady and precise person handling all those things.
So if you're hiring to that, then those people can go virtual. You should hire them as virtual.
100%.
Now, it strikes me that there is I'm calling this a myth, is that you have to be in the office to be effective.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, that myth gets blown up in 21, where we just had 6 million transactions that were closed. So it was done virtually. So what's your take on that, Lindsay?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, there are a lot of big personalities in real estate, right? We're talking those DIs. And I do think most of the time that, those are the people though that feel taken advantage of, regularly, or they don't like to be taken advantage of. And I think when they don't really see what's happening and they don't know what's going on all day at home, there's a stress level that happens there, right? And so most business owners are DI personalities. And so we're sending all of these people home. And I think at the end of the day, we don't have the checks and balances in place in our businesses. Most of us don't, so that we can see what was completed all day, every day by form of a CRM or something along those lines, right? And we don't have those expectations rolled out. And so what's happening is people have this stress over somebody going home and, well, what did they accomplish today? What did they do? If you had all of that in place, then you would feel a little bit better about it, maybe.
Well, you just made, I think, a really important point. To have an effective relationship with a virtual assistant, you have to have some way of tracking. So this means that you need to have a robust CRM where you can see what's being done, what's happening, and having them reporting back. And you need to put those systems into place so that person comes in and they can, and if they're an SC, they're going to be really happy dealing with that, because that's predictable. I know where to put it. I can enter stuff in and they will do it.
Yeah.
And you get somebody who's a C, they're compliant. They follow the rules.
Yes.
We're not like, the D's break the rules, but the people you want running your back office, you want the people who play by the rules.
Yes. Yeah. And I do think, it's funny. The truth is we don't, I think a lot of people went home and we don't have all of the statistics and all of the numbers on this yet, but I think they're starting to come out. Are we, as companies that are being run virtual, are we more productive at home or are we less productive at home? And I think that there are a lot of people that we're not sure, like on one hand, all those SC personalities would say, well, I don't have to chit chat with all of those people anymore. Nobody's coming up and bothering me all day. I get so much more done, right? That's their perspective. Others are saying, well, now there's no, I get up, I go to work, I work, and then I drive home and I stop working. There is no end point. So now I'm working even more, right? And so it's funny. And then there's other people that are like, well, I think you're watching Netflix and doing laundry. So I don't think you're getting everything done and you're not time blocking properly, right? I don't think people don't know yet. And we're all trying to figure out, well, is this better? Is it not? Are we all doing this? Are we not? I told you that I was speaking to my cousin who works for Allstate, and his whole company, all of Allstate, got rid of their offices and they're virtual. So, I know companies are doing it, they're saving money, but we're trying to figure out, is the productivity level going up or down, or where is it?
Well, the numbers I have seen is actually productivity goes up in many cases because
Yeah.
people have that flexibility. One of the things I found really fascinating is cost of being in office with someone who's an experienced person. When you say experience, you don't mean that they've sold real estate, but they've worked in some sort of real estate setting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what's it going to cost me if I want an in-office entry-level admin out of college? What am I paying today?
Yeah. So we're looking at, anywhere between a 40 to $50,000 range, depending on where you are.
Out of college.
Out of college. And we used to say 35,000 to 45. So we're seeing that shift there. And then if you move me into, okay, somebody who has experience, who's had a few jobs and who, maybe has become a supervisor somewhere or managed a couple people, we're looking at the starting at 50. Whereas I would have told you 5 or 6 years ago, we were starting at 40. So we're definitely different there.
Now, one of the things I thought was fascinating is that you've heard this now from three different industries
Mhm.
about how much of a pay cut people are willing to take to not be in the office and be virtual. And what was that number?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the exact same number every time, $15,000. So people are willing, if they can work from home, they're willing to have a $15,000 difference there just to work from home.
And that's from three different industries. Wow.
Yes.
And I mean that to me is stunning. If it's just real estate or whatever. So we have this mass exodus out of the real estate industry. We have increased cost. And then the other thing we've got going on, one of the, I call this one of the myths, and you're saying one of the things you hear all the time, from these top producers who run teams. Well, they need to be in the office with me hearing what I'm doing. Now, why is that, a myth?
Yeah, because I mean, there are numerous people. Well, one, we all went home and we weren't doing it and we were doing it. We figured it out. Now, a lot of us were utilizing Zoom and we were on Zoom a good portion of the day, right? But then after a while, we cut that out and went back to phone and all kinds of things. I think the biggest thing is, in real estate, we're out meeting with people, talking to people. You're not in the office. I mean, if you're truly doing your job, you're in the office for a few hours, uh, prospecting, and then you move out to go and, be with people. And so I think that's just a myth. I mean, we should be able to come together in the morning, do what I call a daily stand up or a huddle, figure out what our day needs to look like, figure out what everybody's doing, and then off we go. So
One of the things I've seen that's very effective when, people are great leaders, they have this huddle in the morning, in person, but you don't need to do this when you can do it on Zoom. I don't have to get dressed up. I can get to my day. I'm not driving back and forth. I'm not losing all that time. If there's an emergency, I can handle it. I can work later tonight. I don't have to physically be there. So that, that's worth a lot. And then the other thing, and I think this is really important takeaway, I've heard this from a lot of people, and you just said it a moment ago, this business about doing things by phone. I've had a virtual company since 1999, and Shane, who's been running things for me for 20 some odd years now, I spend absolutely no time on Zoom with her unless we're having a meeting with someone else. Everything is done by phone.
yeah.
Everything. And I see her once a year at a conference. That's it. So you don't have to be face to face. And she handles my entire office, my back office, oversees the other contractors we've got working for us, does all of that. You can do it virtually, but I'm not the one who organized it. I hired somebody who was really good at organization to do that. And that to me is the secret. You
Yes.
get that. And so what am I paying for someone like, like that high level assistant who can run, or, executive assistant or general manager, virtual COO? What am I paying for a position like that these days?
Depending on your area, you're starting around 60,000 and up. And really somebody high level who has done worked with executives like you, most of the time you're at 75, truly.
Um,
But I think you can find somebody who's done some more once you hit that 60 range, as long as you're not in, we're not talking about California and Seattle and some places that are a little bit higher. Which, we use a great link for a salary finder, which is Career One Stop Salary Finder, and that helps you figure it out. But I will tell everybody too, if we are talking about, I want to hire somebody with real estate experience, I am constantly saying then we're already at 60 and above.
so getting someone with real estate experience is 60 and above.
At least. And you know why? Here's what it is. There's such a shortage of people staying in the industry right now, right? We talked about the mass exodus leaving. There's such a shortage that if you actually do find somebody, even if they only have 1 year of experience, everybody in that office, I want you to think about this. So say you have an office and there's an agent who's become so much more productive because for 1 year they had this assistant in there. Doesn't matter what they paid them. All of those other people would look at that person and say, okay, they know what they're doing for a year and look how much they freed up so-and-so. I'm willing to pay at least 60 or above because they have experience just with 1 year of experience. And if I know that, and I've seen it numerous times where somebody gobbles somebody up, then that's the going rate, right?
So this is the person who can take and run my back office for my team or for my brokerage. So 60 and up. Okay.
At
Yeah.
least.
So that's the cost of doing business. Now, the other thing, I found another myth that we've heard, well, we need to have everybody here in the office prospecting together, these people who are, leading teams. What's the problem with that, Lindsay? You want to
Yeah.
explain why that,
Well,
that
you are
doesn't
not
work
allowed
that
if they're,
way?
if they're independent contractors, right? We're not allowed to say that they have to be here. Right. A lot of people get around that. And I put quotes in the air, which you can see, but they get around that by saying it is strongly suggested, or that is our standard as a team or an office or whatever. But still, there's lines.
Standard and you require them to be there.
Yep. Yep.
You've got a problem. And they cannot be an independent contractor if they're only working for you. Now, if they're agents, that's, but if you're talking about admin, you cannot have a virtual independent contractor position unless they have at least one other client.
That's right. And multiple people, a lot of people say, oh, well, I pay this transaction management company $400 per file. So I just want to hire an admin and pay $400 a file. And I'm like, right. That transaction management company has multiple people that they're working with. So that's why you can pay them that way. It's a fee. This is very different. You can't just pay your person that. You've got to have a salary or something if they're sitting in a desk with you, for sure.
So you raise a really interesting issue. Who do I want to, who are some of the companies out there that actually have, they're set up to provide these services, or I could even send if there's someone I want to hire to this company and they let me hire that person with me exclusively, but that's because I'm dealing with the company now and it's B2B and then they're paying for this. So that keeps it legal. Are there any that you can recommend?
Yeah, I love Hello Leverage. That is a great one. And they just changed their name. And it's funny, C Pros is one of my favorites too. And they just changed their name to Lev Pros. Everybody's going with leverage, right? Because that's what everybody needs. But those are two of my favorites. And then there is RE Box, which does marketing and all kinds of things for people. And then the last company that I always recommend is Blink Marketing. Whew. They do all marketing for real estate agents, and their stuff is so amazing. And even just their website's a big wow. And so I would say, those companies I've seen really grow, and that we send people to them all the time when we're hiring for somebody that really needs the leverage right now. I'm like, well, go use them. We'll go start looking for somebody, and then you can, you'll be all right. So
Now on that last company, was that Blink with a B?
Blink with a K, so and a B. Yep, B in the front.
Okay,
Blink.
excellent. I want to make sure I heard that right.
Yes.
So, well, this has been a fascinating discussion. What's your final, piece of advice for the people who are listening to you today? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I think don't sell yourself short, but also don't you really have to look at where the world is and consider what talent is looking for right now. And we have seen talent say that they want to work from home. That is something that they want. And so we have to adjust our expectations around that if we're going to go locate them. And listen, it doesn't have to be 5 days a week. Maybe it is a hybrid version of that. But I think we've got to just pay attention to what's really happening. And then you have to see the fact that, inflation's real. We have seen prices of homes and meat and everything go skyrocketing in the last 2 years. And so if we don't think that salaries are going to do the same thing, then I'm not really sure. I don't know why people just are like, nope, it's just 30 and 40,000. I can hire an admin for that. You really can't. Not a good one. You can hire somebody right out of college, but they know nothing. And so I think they need to understand the expectations and adjust their expectations.
Thank you, Lindsay. We've been visiting with Linzee Ciprani of Ciprani Consulting. That's Ciprani. And Lindsay has a great track record. They have over 90% effectiveness and people stay on when they place them. And that's, in today's environment, that's tremendous. Thank you for being with us today, Lindsay.
Thank you so much for having me, Bernice. It's really been a pleasure.